Here's my State College of Florida student ID. And here are my 4 flashcards that I'm going to be using. They have the minimum to maximum word amount, and they're on bigger cards because you allow me. Due to my visual impairment, I want to thank you again. Magical, mystical, divine. Tarot cards have been fascinating people for centuries. These cards have been used for divination, which is when one looks for omens to forecast the future. And tarot cards are on the rise of popularity, especially within the 21st century. I have researched and studied the history and meaning of tarot cards for the past 5 years, and I own my own tarot service, TT's Tarot Corner. Tarot is a unique and mystical way to bring clarity into one's life. And today I will be discussing the history of the cards and how different forms of the system of tarot has evolved, along with the meanings of the major and minor arcana, and lastly, how one can conduct a reading. Tarot started as a typical game in 14th century Italy that was played by noblemen. It was called terracotta. It quickly spread across Europe, and the French changed it to the name that it has today, tarot. It wasn't until the 18th century where the cards were used for divination. The cards also, throughout time, have been made into different systems. In countries such as Portugal, Italy, and Spain, the traditional playing cards are used, while in countries like France, the Marseille version is used. However, the most common form of tarot that I will be discussing today was made in 1910 by A.E. Waite and Pamela Colman Smith, called the Rider-Waite-Smith system. It is most often seen in different forms of tarot decks today by different authors. Now that we know the different styles of tarot and the history, let's learn more about the meanings of the cards and how to learn them. Traditionally, the cards are split into 2 sets, the major arcana and the minor arcana. And usually the reader uses their intuition to tell the meaning. However, that doesn't mean we can't learn the meanings. The major arcana deals with big life events. So, with that said, a lot of people look into each card as a different life event. We can see this in the Lovers card. A lot of people look to this within marriage. Another way that people learn the cards, both major and minor arcana, is looking at symbolism. We can see this in the Emperor card, which means masculinity. A symbol for masculinity within this card is the sun. Lastly, a way to learn the cards is through numerology, which is the study of numbers and the symbol of each number. We can see this within the Fool, that has the number 0, which is the number before the positive numbers begin. This can also represent starting a journey or before starting a new journey. The Fool is going on carelessly, excited, and optimistic on a new journey. Next, let's talk about the second part of tarot, the minor arcana, which has 4 different suits that represents different human experiences and elements. The Wands, which is represented by fire and passion. The Cups, which is represented by water, emotions, and relationships. The Swords, which are represented by air and logic. And lastly, the Pentacles, which is represented by earth and anything to do with money. Another difference between the major and minor arcana is the minor arcana has face cards that represent different parts of life or different people in the person's life. Like the Page that represents children, the Knight, which represents teenagers and young adults, the Queen, which represents a grown-up woman, and the king that represents a grown-up man. Now that we know how to learn the meanings, let's talk about conducting a reading. The most simple form of a reading is doing a one-card pull. This is usually a quick question or possibly daily advice. Now, the second most common spread is a 3-card spread, where you pull 3 cards to represent different things, like past, present, future, problem, action, solution. And lastly, a lot of people do a lot of advanced spreads, such as the Celtic cross or the horseshoe. I will be showing you a simple spread that we can use today. 3-card spread. So let's first use one of the cards that we learned. Here we have the Fool. So going on a journey into the unknown. Let's pull another card. We have the Ace of Cups. Knowing my numerology, number 1 is a new beginning. And knowing my suits, cups mean a relationship. So going unknown into a new relationship. Now let's pull another card. We have the Ace of Pentacles, the beginning of some new financial endeavors. So maybe this person who we're reading for is going into a new business partnership. Now that we've learned a lot, let's recap. Tarot is a magical, mystical way to learn and solve problems. It has a rich history in different systems. Along with this, the major and minor arcana covers different things in life. Lastly, there are different spreads to solve different problems, both in-depth and vaguely. As the famous tarot card teacher Teresa Francis Chong once said, tarot readings are an attempt to understand and discover how we might live a better future.